What's going on, guys? Andrew from Greek Speak, back with another episode. We had a great episode last week with Xander, but this week is definitely someone special to me. One of my best friends of probably my entire life, with Mr. Ben Shapiro. So, Ben, what's going on, man?
How you doing? How you doing, Flunk? How are you?
Good, good. So, if you want to just kind of give a brief explanation of who you are, where you go, what are you studying, and kind of what are you planning to do with your degree in terms of the work field?
Right. So my name is Ben, as you introduced me as, and I go to Towson University in Maryland. I study finance and accounting, double major currently, and mostly accounting. I do have an internship currently. That's a couple minutes away from me in accounting that I've had since January. And that's been a good experience for me in terms of kind of telling me and showing me where I kind of want to go with my life. And that's kind of why I've thought about, I guess, dropping finance to a minor and just continuing along the path of accounting, because I can sort of see myself doing that as a career. The people that I work with are great, and I love it there. And I'm not sure if I missed any other of your questions, but I guess I'm a rising senior as well.
So, I have an understanding that you changed your major from what you
Yeah,
originally went to
right.
college for. What what kind of led you down that path, and ultimately, why did you make the change?
Yeah, so I started as a biology major, which is a kind of a jump. And I decided to do biology when I first was coming into college because I had a good experience in an AP bio class at Grispell Academy. Shout out Falcons. So I kind of came into college thinking, all right, maybe I want to go down the path of becoming a doctor like my dad. And so I stuck with that for a while, for the first, I believe, 2 semesters of my freshman year. And biology was going all right. It was until I got to chemistry, and that's kind of where things fell apart for me. And I was doing somewhat decent in chemistry, but it was kind of making me realize and understand that I don't know if I want this to be my life for the next 15 years of just studying for. And I don't think I could have kept up with it. So that was a brief stint of biology, and then I kind of thought, all right, well, I've kind of been around finance and budgeting my entire life. Maybe I'll just switch my path. And so a little while ago, I switched to the finance accounting track. And the reason why, I guess I could say, is I'm a double major. Is at first I couldn't really decide if which one I wanted to do. They were both had their pros. I guess they both also have their cons, but I figured I would give myself that challenge of doing both at the same time, while also it being kind of similar tracks. Like, of course, I could take a majority of the classes overlapped. That would be a good thing for me. So yes, I did switch my majors.
Is that something that like pushed you back any time in school, or you still expected to like? Is that something you had to take summer and winter classes to kind of catch up, or how did that process occur?
Yeah, so at first it did not put me off track, especially because every winter and every summer I do take classes regardless, just to kind of boost my graduation time frame. But doing with the double major has proved to be a little tricky because with my advisor kind of screwed me over a little bit, but what's new there. And so if I stick with a double major, and this is a lot of the reason why I'm considering dropping finance, especially with my accounting internship, I would have to take a fifth semester, possibly a fifth full year.
Yeah.
If I dropped the finance major and just did accounting, then I would most likely graduate on time, especially with me taking these summer and winter classes.
So, how many classes do you on average take during the summer and winter? Because, for an example, I'm someone that has gotten lucky and not taken any winter and summer courses, but I know a lot of people
Right.
that do. So, like, what's your average there?
I'd say two. 1 to 2 is probably my average. I'm only allowed to take one over the winter. That's just kind of how Towson works. Especially mainly because it's like a month long. You take one class that's like 5 weeks, and that's your winter. And the summer, typically around two. This summer, I'm taking one through Towson and one through CCBC. But then the main reason why I do that is simply because it can just kind of ease my way into the fall, and I won't have to really stress about classes that I'm taking. It's easier. It's a good time frame, I guess, in the summer to take care of those classes I wouldn't want to have on top of like my harder classes in the fall.
Right.
So that's a good opportunity that I always take up in the summer and the winter.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you got a good idea of what you're doing and what you want to do. Out of your classes, I mean, what would you say is one of your favorites that you're taking or have taken? Let's say have taken in your 3 years at Towson.
Just overall,
Yeah,
or in the summer and the
let's
winter.
say overall.
I'll say, and this has nothing pertaining to my major at all. Freshman year, I took a cultural anthropology class. And that was, I believe, the first semester of my freshman year, and that was just mainly because it was a core. Actually, that was entirely because it was a core. Um, but I had a lot of fun in that class simply because our teacher was, or my teacher was a really good guy, really down to earth. And he had this policy where, like, we had to just kind of turn off our phones and pay attention to what he was talking about. And this teacher, he would travel around the country and kind of show pictures and explain the whole world of anthropology. This was kind of before like AI had come out, and when I still kind of like didn't use that to help me through my classes in a
Yeah.
sense. So I was paying attention the entire time. I was writing my own papers, and I actually had the people in the class that I would do projects with were really good people. And that was just, even though it didn't have anything to do with my major, a fun class to take.
Yeah. That definitely sounds fun. There's definitely been some cool classes. I would definitely say, I mean, this does relate to my major, but basic media production. Um, just a good, really, really cool overall class. We did, widespread of photography, podcasts, ultimately what brought me here today. Um, just a lot of cool things that we did, news packages and stuff. But, obviously there's a little bit of an elephant in the room. The whole purpose of the show is talk about Greek life. I mean, yeah,
Right.
obviously, I believe that the other stuff is very, very important, which builds you to where you are. But tell me about what organization you're in,
Yep.
any positions you hold, and I mean, how many brothers you guys got?
Yeah, so I'm an Alpha Epsilon Pi. It's mostly kind of known as the Jewish fraternity, although we do have a good number in this chapter and all chapters around, I guess, the country, a lot of non-Jews. And I didn't really join this fraternity for the Judaism. I didn't really search for that kind of thing. It was just mainly because I kind of knew people in it already, and when I went to the Rush events, it was I felt like I belonged. Um, but we have about, I want to say, 45 members at this point, which is the highest we've had in a while.
Mm-hmm.
We had, when I was a spring semester guy, and I'll get into that, why I was spring and not fall. I can get into that later. But when I was, I guess Towson's not the biggest in Greek life in general, because when I was coming in, I was a class of four,
Yeah.
or five, but four now. But one of the guys ended up leaving the school, but it was a class of four people, which I guess to most chapters sounds like what are we doing here? Because a lot of chapters, especially down south, how they're getting up to 100 plus.
Yeah.
So we have about 45 now, and this is the highest we've been in a long time. Because going back to my class of four, at the time there were probably about 20 brothers in the fraternity when I was coming in. So now we're sitting at a good number, hoping to get probably about 15 to 20 this fall. And yeah.
So, how does the recruitment process work there? Are you able to recruit first semester freshmen, or do you have deferred recruitment?
So the way that works is our fall is actually the biggest. That's when everyone rushes for the most part. Um, and because I know, I guess, in sororities and other places for fraternities, it's kind of opposite. But yeah, at Towson, um, fraternities are mainly fall. That's where you'll see the most numbers. So like I
Mhm.
said, like this our fall class last school year was 18 guys, and that I believe was the largest class out of any chapter on campus. And then our spring class was three. It was four, and then a guy dropped. It was three. So, and that was the smallest class I've seen in a pretty long time. Um, but I guess for sororities, it's the opposite. They're recruitments in the spring, and they can't even recruit people in the fall. But for us, we can do both.
Yeah, so that's something that we have here. We but we actually have deferred recruitment. So the only people that you can recruit during the fall semester is sophomores and up. So
Okay.
I've seen a senior join, Brandon Michael, overall great guy. He's now into the teaching world,
Hmm.
but um, last year was really, really successful for us. We had 15 guys in the fall, which was a record
Yeah.
for our chapter. Because as I said, you're really only able to recruit people that have already been here, or maybe someone that did dual enrollment in high school and has up to 12 credits, or transfer students. But transfer students are hard because they're transferring and they're like just getting new to the school, and then
Right.
it's hard to get connected with them. But we have been successful in the past. But usually our spring class is a lot larger, but this year it was actually the opposite. Our spring class was 8 guys,
Hmm.
whereas obviously I said we had 15 in the fall. So it was a little bit of a different year for us, but we're sitting at about 54 right now, with the intention of getting
Wow.
10 to 15 guys in the fall. And I've told people I would kill to see 70 before I graduate.
That'd be
I
awesome.
got
Are
two
you
more.
the largest fraternity on campus?
Yes,
Wow.
um we are by far the largest. I believe Phi Sigma Kappa is the second largest. So
Okay.
shout out to them. Got some good friends of mine that are in there. So I mean that's another thing is I told somebody over the weekend, I don't care what letters you're wearing on your chest. At the end of the day, we all share the unique bond of being Greek
Right.
life, being part of the Greek life community. So I could care less what organization you're in. But if you want to share, like, kind of your personal experience. So, I mean, obviously, you said you were a spring guy rather than a fall guy. Is there a
Right.
reason why that happened?
Yes. So there's a good reason why. I was coming into college and I didn't exactly decide if I wanted to go into Greek life. My mom actually kind of was trying to convince me to. And I didn't really decide. I was coming in. I was like, all right, maybe I'll just take it slow at first and maybe I'll see what they got going on. But I wasn't like hard set on a no and a hard set on a yes. And so I was moving in, freshman year, and there were some people helping me in. They were in Sigma Chi, shout out Sigma Chi, I guess. But they gave me their business card, and they were kind of telling me about the whole process. And I was kind of interested at first. And another person on my floor, it was actually in Sig Chi, and he was, I guess, trying to convince me as well. So I went to one or two of their rush events, but I guess I just didn't really feel like I belonged there. And I'd also gone to a Pike rush event. It was a dodgeball thing, first semester, and I just didn't really think I fit in there as well. And the main reason why I didn't really like kind of care to pursue any fraternity first semester was because I was considering transferring to University of Maryland, where they had Sig Ep, Sig Phi Epsilon, and that was the fraternity that my dad was in. And he went to UPenn, but I figured I couldn't get in there. And University of Maryland would be my next best bet for Sig Ep. But then I kind of realized that might not have been. I was making friends, and I kind of realized that was not maybe in the cards for me, and that's why the next semester I was like, all right, well, I know some people in AE Pi, and another kid on my floor, was considering rushing, so we went to a few rush events, and it just kind of all went from there.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a fun experience. I mean, I feel that with me, I kind of did the same thing as you, and obviously, it kind of helped with there being a deferred recruitment of, it gave me a chance. And honestly, I don't think I would have joined first semester. I think I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
because I'm someone that takes a little bit longer to, adjust to things to become more comfortable. I
Yeah.
mean, even my grades or something that shows that. Like, I'm not saying I was a bad student. I mean, I was about a 3.1 student, but back half of my college career, I've been 3.8 student, 3.9 student, so completely different. But it's just something that I personally do. I need to warm up to people. But I remember Kappa Sig. We were having there was a campus fair. It was just a night like where all the organizations set up tables and talk to people and like try to get people to join their organizations. And Kappa Sig didn't really do that. They were actually playing football. And obviously, I've always loved football. So I went and asked if I could play. And they're like, yeah, of course. And then I played football with them. And then they invited me over to the house. And uh, as stupid as it sounds, I remember watching a Ravens preseason football game. And I feel I'm a big hater of preseason. I think it's stupid.
Yeah. I have to
Um,
agree there.
but like I didn't care. But literally, there could have been nothing on the TV. There could have been nothing on the TV screen. It was just me talking to these guys, and they really like wanted to know me and wanted to get to know me and wanted to know me as a person, and that really made
Yeah.
me feel special. And then we ended up playing different like card games, like Cards Against Humanity, and I just
Yeah.
felt very comfortable there. But then, obviously, I explored. I met some guys in the Theta Xi fraternity, Pi Lambda Phi, and the Phi Sigma Kappa fraternity. Um, Ultimately, I decided I was going with Kappa Sig, and here I am today, and I can gladly say it's the best decision I've ever made. But
Right.
I've definitely been in your shoes where it's like, well, like kind of trying to weigh out the pros and cons of these organizations, and
Right.
ultimately I joined, and I was one of 16 in spring of 2023. So it's been about 2 years for both of us, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So what positions have you held within your chapter or within the Interfraternal Council
Yeah.
there at Towson University?
So that's a good question. I have not in my, I guess, 2 years of being in AEPI have not held an e-board position per se. I I ran twice for new member educator. I don't know if that's what you call it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I ran twice for that, and I didn't get it, which was fine. But I've been on the Interfraternal Council, the IFC, for honestly ever since I got in. So about 2 years or a year and a half, I'd say. I think I joined about halfway through my, I guess, fall semester after I was initiated. And I at first started as public relations, and I'm sure you're familiar with public
yeah,
relations.
yeah,
I started as the vice president of that, and so I was basically mainly, creating designs, managing the Instagram, getting out reels, and just making everything look better and more appealing, and kind of emphasizing Greek life, and hopefully getting more people to join. And so I did that for 2 semesters, and that would, I guess, bring us to this, I guess, past semester coming into, or fall coming into spring when I ran for vice president of the IFC, which I did get. And so I've been doing that. I did that for the last semester, and that's been pretty rewarding because this is a whole new executive board that I've been working with, and I love everyone on it. Great
were you
people.
the only returner?
No. The president was the vice president before of programming, and he ran for president of the IFC. So him and I returned, and then the rest of the board was different. And I'm not sure how it works at SHIP, but at Towson you can only have 2 members of a single fraternity on the IFC. So me and another one of my friends at API were on or doing that. He took my old position of public relations, and then of course I met some other people from Sig Chi, Pike, A Sig, Theta Chi, and I guess the list goes on, KDR and whatnot. But it's been a rewarding experience for sure.
Yeah, and it's good that you saw progression there, and I give you a lot of applause for kind of taking the not getting the new member education position and holding your head high, and ultimately trying something else. And
Yeah.
I think it speaks wonders when you've been elected for two different positions. One thing I
Right.
was gonna say is I don't know if it's like that there. It kind of seems like it, but for our IFC, um, the president has to be a returner. So a lot of the
Yeah.
time,
So
it's either someone
I think
that
the
ran
way
back to back or moved up. But
yeah.
that's
So
the
the way
only position that you have to have uh, a
yeah.
second year.
Yeah, that's the kind of the way it works with us too. You have to either be on the board previously or be the president of your chapter.
Okay.
So like the president, a good friend of mine, Cam, if he hadn't been already on the board previously, he was the president of his chapter, ZBT. So he would have
Mhm.
been fine. But regardless, he was elected. That's how it works with us.
Yeah. So one thing that's always important to talk about, and I think it's important to share awareness on it, is what would you say would be some advice towards, a P&M for all of Greek life in terms of someone that might be on the fence? Because
Yeah.
uh, the sounds of it is you were on the fence of, oh, I don't know if I want to do this, and then obviously
Right.
got encouragement from your mother. But
Right.
what would be some words of advice that you would give to someone that maybe say 50%?
Yeah. That's a good question because I was on the fence, and I will say I was kind of a little like nervous to just go into these rush events. I don't know anybody, I don't know what's going on, But my advice is just do it. Just go out there. As a freshman, you're coming off the high of being a senior in high school. You just went to prom. You're graduating, all is great, and now you're the big fish, and now you're coming into college. You're the small guy, and everyone seems bigger than you. It's a big campus. It's all new to you. And so I would understand. This is kind of how it was for me. I would understand why you're kind of at first wondering like what's all about. You haven't had this experience before. But for me, I kind of just said, what, I just want to, I guess, make friends and have, I guess, experiences and opportunities I didn't have before. A good part about being a fraternity is all of the professional aspects and opportunities that come with it. And a lot of people, they're working towards the same goal. In the fraternity, they're all working towards becoming better people and becoming better men. And that's kind of how I was convinced to join, because at first a lot of the reason why, Sig Ep aside, that I was considering not rushing a fraternity was the cost of it. Of course, it's, I don't know how much your dues are. I don't know how much the next person's dues are. But I'll share mine was, 750 plus like 100 and some in social cash. That was $850 per semester, which for me is a lot because I'm paying it on my own. And so it's, a lot to, it seems like the common stigma is, you're paying for friends, but it's a
Yeah.
lot more than that. It's so much more than just paying for friends, just based off simply the friendships and the lasting relationships that you will make throughout your entire life. I'm sure that, and you can attest to this, that these guys that I'm, friends with, who are also, some of them are my roommates as well, are going to be my closest friends for the rest of my life. They're going to be at my wedding. I'm sure one of them is going to be my best man. Like, that's just how it works. You meet these guys, they're all around them all the time. They become your boys. It's just, I'm so glad that I did what I did and decided to rush this fraternity.
Yeah, and obviously it can give you so many benefits. And I tell people, you know, with us, it's just a group of guys. Like,
Yeah.
when we invite people over, it's like, hey, come on over and we're playing Jackbox or we're watching Monday Night Football or something. Like
Yeah.
football season, big fraternity in terms of football. Or, we're playing die or something like that.
Yeah.
Some games like that, or just something to, interact with each other, and it's been
Right.
so much fun and so rewarding. But there's something that you said that kind of made me smile a little bit, and I really want to pick your brain there, is the professional development, because that's something that not
Yeah.
many people quite understand in terms of, let's say you're a senior in high school, or, you know, all you see on the internet is bad stuff about Greek life, when in
Yes.
reality, it is what you make it. There's some really good professional development. Like, I was straight up promised when I was rushing Kappa Sig, that I will not leave at my time at Shippensburg without an internship or a job, and I've been lucky to get two internships, with one being through our national headquarters, which has
Yeah.
been so rewarding. But how would you explain the professional development? What has it done for you thus far?
So when it comes to professional development, the best way I guess I can think about it is there are 45 or 44, guys who are like I said, working towards the same goal. And there are plenty of times where I'll just open up our group chat, and some random person, some or random brother is talking about, hey guys, I found this opportunity, or hey guys, this internship would be great for one of you, or guys, I found this awesome, internship, or job that I think would be great for this person, and a lot of my friends have gotten their internships or jobs because of that. I know a guy, one of them who I live with, who has had internships with the Ravens and the Orioles, because of, how he knew people in this fraternity. Like, and I'll go further into knowing people, and I'm sure there's a deeper line of people that you can talk to in Kappa Sig. But for me, there's this Facebook group that I'm in that I was invited to. For that, a lot of AE Pi alumni are in, who are constantly posting about opportunities and just overall, um, just internship, um, I guess, options for anyone in the fraternity. And it's just it's a close group of guys, even years ahead. I've talked to plenty of people who have graduated years ago, like years and years ago from the fraternity, and they will always be willing to and wanting to help current and new and old brothers with professional development. So it's a great thing, really.
And I think that goes off the famous saying of it's not what you know, it's who you know. You never know. I mean,
Exactly.
literally,
Exactly.
one thing I will always suggest is, and this isn't necessarily regarding the fraternity, I mean, it can be, is anytime that the school or anytime that your area has a networking event, I encourage people to attend. And
Yeah.
it's actually, that's where you tie in the fraternity, you know, and that's one thing that we do with us is we require all members to hold a chair. Now, since we've gotten so large, we've created chairs. Most of our chairs are operated through a committee, but we have our five exec members, being Grandmaster, President, Grand Procurator, Vice President, Grandmaster of Ceremonies slash Vice President, Membership Development. That's me.
Hmm.
Scribe slash secondary secretary, and then our treasurer. Those are our five exec positions, and then we have the rest of our chairholders, and that's what I tell people is take pride in what you do.
Yeah.
I always value the future. When in terms of me picking my chairholders for this year, I've valued the future. A lot of my chairholders are juniors or sophomores, because at the end of the day, my time at Ship is coming to an end, but I want to do everything I can to prepare the next generation of leaders and the next
Yeah.
generation of just overall good men. And I try everything in my power to I put it all out there to make sure that I leave a part I leave a lasting message with these people, a lasting impact, I should say.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Well,
gotta say, I didn't think of this before. But we have, and I'm not sure what you call it, or and I'm sure you have something like this. For us, it's called the minor board, and those are just kind of like smaller positions that aren't on the executive board. And I have held a few positions as chair holder with that, like philanthropy chair, housing chair, and those are those kind of positions where it's like you don't, I guess, get a seat at the table on the executive board, but it kind of goes along with what you're saying about having like a required position for every brother, which we do as well.
Yeah, that's something that I've actually thought about adapting. I think it was um, Brittany from Phi Sigma Sigma that mentioned that they have that, and I kind of like that structure. And um, I mean, the only thing that I would worry about is like, let's say, like I feel that this minor board would have to be like quote unquote elected, because if the exec board selected the minor board, I don't want people to think it's bias or like, oh, well, those are just going to be the next exec leaders. I don't
Yeah.
want it to look like that. So that's something I would have to iron out. But another thing that you talked about that we are huge on is philanthropy. So,
Yeah.
what is your philanthropy campaign, and what are some big events that you may do through your campaign?
Yeah. So the our philanthropy program, I guess where our money goes to when we're doing I guess philanthropy events, it's called it's just the Repairing the World Fund. And mostly, and I actually listened to one of your recent episodes where you actually talked about this. We do a lot of events where it's like pie a brother, where it's a
Yeah,
shaving cream, and when we do this kind of events, they all the money goes to the Repairing the World Fund.
right.
And I love doing that one, the one where you put the shaving cream and you pie a brother, because everyone's doing it. It's a fun time. Lots of laughs are going around because everyone looks funny. Um, but we're really big on philanthropy and just kind of fundraising in general
Yeah.
in our fraternity for sure.
Is there any like annual events that you have? I mean, I know that in our last episode with Xander, he spoke about the annual pie or shave ahead program, and then the car smash, and then I talked about how we have a dunk tank every year at our homecoming. But is there any events that you do annually?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you guys do it there, but it's called the Gift of Life, and we do that. Typically, I think we partner up with sorority for this, or honestly, a fraternity. I think we partnered up with a fraternity maybe this past semester. But the Gift of Life is a good yearly thing that we do. You kind of get, you go to this event. It's kind of run through a separate organization, and they kind of just swab like your mouth, your gums, and whatnot to see if you're kind of a match for like some I guess a child or someone who's sick out there who can you can donate maybe plasma it is too. Um, but that's something we do all the time, and as well, going back to the pieing a brother, that's always a good one that we do yearly. But we do try to get different events going around the year, just so we can kind of partner up with other fraternities and sororities on campus, because a lot of other sororities do different philanthropy events, and so like I do remember one of them I've done in the past, and this worked out really well. Was we did a kind of like a thrift, like consignment kind of event, where the brothers would just kind of donate a lot of their old clothes. We set up in it's called Cook Beach, and we just list really low prices, and every single cent would go. We'd split with the sorority or fraternity we're doing, and they would all go to our charities. And it's just things like that where you partner up with a different, and you kind of get a different sense of Greek life. When you partner up with someone you haven't partnered up with before, whether that's fraternity or sorority, you meet new people, new opportunities come out of it. It's a lot of fun, and I do enjoy that part of being a fraternity for sure.
Yeah, so we Shippensburg actually has a very similar event. I mean, not necessarily like donating like that. I mean, one thing that we did as a chapter was the American Health Organization or American Red Cross held a blood drive here, and we signed up and pretty much did all the time zones. So at least from the beginning, I'd say 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We had a brother there that was helping assist the staff. It was just something that we wanted to show face more at, and that's something that we're probably going to do more. But the event that I'm comparing to that one, in comparison of like partnering with other organizations, is Relay for Life. It's a big cancer awareness event that is held every year. I believe the first week of April. Um, every organization is required to attend. Usually, you partner with the organization that you're going to go to homecoming with. So this year we partnered with AOPI, but the event it's a 6 to 6 is how they run it. I believe. So each brother signs up for a 2 hour time slot, and during the event, you raise money for cancer. Um, there's actually a jail where you could go over and pay for someone to be in jail, and all that money goes to the American Cancer Association. And there's also a $25 cover charge to get in. So ultimately, that's how they raise a lot of money. But it's a great way to just connect with the guys, whether it's playing football or playing cards in there. Really, just getting. And then there's also cancer survivors there, so it's really cool to hear their stories and everything like that. But
Yeah,
that
we have
event,
actually. Sorry, keep going.
you go ahead. I'm done.
We have something that, if not similar, this exact same thing. It's called Tigerthon. And we also have the required, like, every brother is required to raise money. Our requirement is $100 per brother that we have to raise. That's kind of our entrance fee, and it raises all that money goes to Johns Hopkins Children's Center in Baltimore. And
Okay.
it's really it's a very, very enlightening experience, because they will also, and kind of how you've mentioned it, there's games to play, but it's like a six for us. It's like a 9 to 9 kind of situation.
Okay.
And when I first got into or initiated into API, that was the first semester that, because it was in the spring for us. For me, because we were such a, I guess, little fraternities at the point, I was required to be there the whole time.
Yeah, that's
Now,
something that a lot of organizations do here at Ship, but
yeah,
that's not something that we do just because we have the numbers.
yeah, and so, but this past semester, I went for 4 to 5 hours. But it's very, and the reason why I call it an enlightening experience is because they bring in actual, children with their parents to kind of explain, what the money's going towards, and kind of how their situation arose, and why they're in the hospital, and we all kind of sit there and listen, and give praise. And we also have a jail that we, can be sent to. I was sent there this past semester for $30. My friend was sent there for like 120, and you have to raise that to get out. But it's a very fun time. Like, it sounds like, it's the outside eye or the outside ear. It sounds like, oh man, it's like a 12-hour event, and you're just kind of standing around. It's not. It's not like that. It really isn't. I enjoy actually doing it.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like both universities kind of like to hold a similar event. That is an annual event for us. Um, so kind of to shift gears on that, obviously you've been in your organization for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of the best Greek life memories? And obviously,
Yeah.
let's uh let's keep it for real.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I love that. And I'm not sure how you guys organize your trips, but in the fall we have what we call Mountain Weekend, and in the spring we have Away Weekend. And those are two of the best times that I will ever have in college, because starting with Mountain Weekend, the entire fraternity goes, and it's like, my first semester or first year, because this is only a fall kind of thing, so I had to wait till the fall. We went to a house in Virginia, and it was awesome. We were on the lake. We were kayaking. We were just playing games. Just being with the guys for a weekend. And this past fall, we went to a house in Pennsylvania. I believe it was Eagle Rock. It was it was more resort like in a sense, because it was just, it was kind of, it was so large. They had a lake you could swim in. They had a whole shed full of like different games. They had like hiking paths. It was just an all around good time, and you're just with the guys the whole time, just vibing. It's a great experience. And then away weekend in the spring. This is also fun. We go to Ocean City, Maryland, every spring, and the guys have the opportunity of bringing a girl, and those are that's fun. We have our formal dinner that we all go to. We vibe out on the beach, play some spike ball, and just being with everybody for those 2 separate weekends, just together with everyone. It's definitely some of the best experiences I've had.
Yeah, one thing that we've recently started up, the last 2 years we've done it, we've uh, framed it or called it the trials. Shout out Zach Taylor. He's graduated. He just graduated. Was our brotherhood chair for the last 2 years. Phenomenal brother, but even better person. And I wish him nothing but the best in the quote unquote real world. But it's just like an event where we have our family lines, which is like your big brother, your little brother, like your family lines all compete against each other, and we do tie dye shirts, and the tie dye is actually the color of your family line. So we go there and play pong, spike ball, one legged race. I think we
Yeah,
played hide and seek once. Just an overall really fun time, and
yeah,
it's just a chance to just unplug. Like there's not much. Like there's barely any Wi-Fi, so like I just sat my phone in the cabin, and
right.
I just vibed with my guys, and it was just so much fun. And there's a bunch of brothers that didn't go, and I was a little hard on them. I'm like, you're really missing out. Like I really want you to go, and they're
Yeah,
like, stop asking me, and I'm like, please just go. Like it's you're gonna regret it if you don't. And um, I really hope that those guys go next year. But that's just something that we've started in the last 2 years, and it's been so much fun. And it really gives you a chance to just unplug. And it's usually this year. I think we did it in March. We try to do it within the last 2 months. A little bit not within the last week or two, because obviously I don't want to stress people out because of finals and all that. But
right.
um, it's just a great way to unplug and really get close as a brotherhood. And uh, speaking of that, I mean that's something that we really strived on this year, whether it was playing die outside or playing cornhole. We were really lucky to have honestly very nice spring semester. I would say probably past March, you at least had 3 days a week that were like nice weather. So the
Yeah.
guys would just get together and really hang out with each other, and it gives you a chance to really get to know people on a personal level,
Hmm.
and really just unplug from school. But I mean, another thing is our chapter really got big on going to the library together. It's funny.
Yeah.
I could recognize there's a whole back section of the library that's pretty much just referred to as the Kappa Sig table. I've never been in that library and not within last semester without seeing a Kappa Sig brother sitting at that very table.
I have to agree with you on that one. And for us, I can't say the same about my tier 2 year experience not seeing someone at our table, but especially like in the last few months of a
Yeah,
semester leading
I
up
would say in
to
the last few months for us as well.
to the finals. AE Pi definitely has their own kind of corner, or table or section, where when we're all there, we all that's like the AE Pi place, and we'll get people who I guess we kind of know, who are saying, oh, these guys are always here. This is the AE Pi table. Like, we always have guys in the library, and I'd have to say I've definitely gone a lot more, and it's helped me study, and stay locked in and focused. I've tried, I guess, kind of studying in my room, and with in the main part of our house. It just doesn't work as well as the library does. You're all there for the same purpose, and you just lock in on what work you have. But definitely got to back you up on the having your, I guess, the fraternity section in the library.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun, and honestly, it's funny. I mean, there's some times where I mean, we have a three floor library. Wow, that's a tongue twister. But um, yeah, I mean, that's something that like there's some times where they're all loud, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the top floor. But overall, it's always a fun time with them, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But
Of course.
um, last question I have for you, and then I'll flip gears and you ask me some questions, and then we'll close things up for this episode. But this is something I've been asking the last two guys. But why were you interested in coming on the show?
I'd have to say the one of the main reasons was definitely because I guess the viewers don't know this, but I've known you, Andrew, for a long time, and of course you're one of my greatest friends um, forever. But I can definitely see how much talking about and being in Greek life means to you, and speaking about or speaking Greek, I guess Greek speak whatever. But I can see how much that I guess means to you, and for me, it was I guess it's an honor to be here, and I'm grateful that I was given this opportunity, and I'm glad that I could make it so make this happen for both of us, I guess, and just kind of talk about because I before this I haven't heard much of anything Kappa Sig wise at Shippensburg. So I'm kind of enlightened about what you guys do, and I'm sure you're enlightened about now what AEPI Towson does.
Yeah, and I mean that's the purpose of this. Is I'm someone that absolutely loves to learn. I'm one of those people that likes to at least learn a new fact every day, and I feel like that's something that you learn in elementary school. It's like, whoa, did you learn one new fact today? And that's something that I've really taken to heart, and I really have learned things. I mean, the last two episodes I've met with CJ, who's in Kappa Sig at Angelo State in Texas, and then Xander, who's in Kappa Sig at Kutztown, and they do things differently compared to Kappa Sig at Shippensburg. So I'm interested to see if like I meet another AEPI that from a different university that has a different experience than you. But at the end of the day, people are gonna have different experiences, but we all share that unique bond of being part of the Greek community. And I think that's what I like about this is having people come on, share their stories, and educate. And that's one thing I'll encourage is go back and listen to a bunch of the other episodes. You might learn a thing from there and might be able to take it to your own chapter because that's something that I've done is I've been able to talk to people like as you said the minor board.
Yeah,
That's something I really want to implement, and I wouldn't have known that if I didn't have this show, if I didn't have this opportunity to talk to people and hear their experiences.
yeah,
So that's definitely something that I've really liked about this. But you got any questions for me, boss man?
yeah. I do. So I just kind of want to know like what is like what lesson if you had to pick one lesson that Kappa Sig or I guess just being in college or just at Shippensburg in general, one lesson that you've learned that has kind of maybe changed um your thought process or just one lesson that has taught you a lot.
Number one lesson I would say is to accept failure, to accept that we're all human, we're going to make mistakes because I definitely made plenty of mistakes. And, whether that was through my first year on exec or just overall as a person. But, I expect my brothers to hound me for the mistakes I do and to get on
Yeah,
me about it because it makes me better. And originally, that like this was the first time that I had really been in leadership. So like any bit of like real criticism, I took it to heart. I was like, well, why are these people being so mean to me? And then I
yeah,
was able to really, it was right around like fall break, October-ish last year where I was really able to sit back and go, well, these people are trying to help. They're not trying to tear me down. And ultimately, I got reelected. So that, I mean, I think that's something that means a lot. But yeah, that's definitely the number one lesson is take things slow
yeah,
and realize that it's okay to mess up. but you got to acknowledge when you mess up. You can't just keep messing up and messing up and messing up because nothing's going to change. You got to be willing to accept where you're wrong and make the steps towards an appropriate change.
I definitely have to agree with you there. And I'll talk about, I guess, what I would say. And that's just like kind of keep going and just keep trying. There have been plenty of times in my life, not just in college, where I got told that I couldn't do something, or I guess I wasn't doing it right, and I should stop trying. And what separates someone with a good mentality from bad mentality is knowing when to just, like you said, not accept failure or defeat and just keep pushing. And I've also kind of put that into my daily routine. And when I go to the gym, I don't accept failure. I push past it. I keep working, and it's just all about working on yourself and becoming a better person.
I completely agree because no one's perfect, but I'm going to try my damnedest to be pretty darn close. And,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm very, very hard on myself, but you will not be a good person if you don't adapt and change throughout your life. There's different, but it's also understanding that, especially in leadership, people are going to have different leadership styles. Just like in the classroom, people have different teaching or learning styles. But it's okay. That doesn't mean that someone's a dumb person or someone's incorrect. Bring all of the ideas together because at the end of the day, you're going to make the best overall product because that person's satisfied because their idea was listened to, and same with that person. Because you never know. I mean, being closed minded doesn't allow you to succeed in this world. In all honesty,
I absolutely agree. 1,000%. And that's all I have for you, as I'm sure that's all you have for me. But one last thing I want to just say, and I was not told to say this, by the way. I have to say that I have been listening to a couple recently episodes from Greek Speak when I'm in the shower and I'm driving, and also shout out Beyond the Game, official Beyond the Game. That's also a great podcast that I've found myself listening to. So, Andrew, shout out to you. You've been doing great work. Shout out to all your co-hosts as well, and to all the people that you've had on these shows. I couldn't be more grateful for you to have me, and just thank you again for this opportunity.
all right, Ben. Well, again, this is definitely one that was very, very special and very dear to my heart. As we go way back, and I mean way back at this point. I feel like we're unks now. But again, I thank you so much. I learned a lot about your organization as I didn't know much. I really just
Yeah,
saw that you were in it and kind of knew that it was a Jewish fraternity, and that's about it. So, again, thank you so much for coming on.
of course. Thank you.
Please do your best to share with your brothers. And this is a shout out to Mr. Benjamin's brothers here. If anyone's interested, please come on. I'm willing to talk. I love to talk to people. But
I'll spread the
again,
word.
thank you so much, Ben. And until next time, I will see you later.
Till next time, my friend. Catch you.